Welcome back to A Slice of News, where I cut you off a slice of news. Why is the Democratic Party seemingly so unpopular? That's a question that many have been asking, and there have been many different answers. Centrist Political Action Committee, WelcomePAC, has compiled a report which they think has uncovered their main issue. The Democratic Party as a whole has just gone too far to the left. They've chosen to champion social causes and progressive orthodoxy over actually winning elections. That's the conclusion they reached after polling nearly 500,000 voters over the course of 6 months. The question is really, how accurate is this conclusion? Yes, it's true. In the last decade, the Democrats have lost to a deeply unpopular Republican candidate twice. They're going into next year's midterms unsure if they can retake the House, and even less of a chance to retake the Senate, which is their only chance to have any sort of political power in an entirely Republican-controlled government, and one-headed President, Donald Trump. While it is true that the Democratic Party support from groups like the working class, younger voters, and voters of color have been eroding in recent years, is the answer to win them back and to win more elections to just move more to the center and less left? WelcomePAC says yes. I would say no. I might even argue that the problem is that they haven't gone left enough. Firstly, it doesn't shock me that a centrist organization comes to the conclusion that the Democrats' problem is they're not center enough. But this idea that Democrats just focus too much on being progressive and too much on stuff like pronouns and social issues, and that is why they lose, is not one that's new to me. It's one that I heard numerous times following the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. I disagreed with it then, and I disagree with it now. This idea that the Democrats went too woke and that's why they lost is complete nonsense. I think there's a lot of things getting in the way of Democrats really succeeding when it comes to winning elections, but I don't think being too progressive is one of them. I think one of their big issues is the perfection problem, where they have to be absolutely perfect to all parts of their party and please everyone at the same time, while Republicans just have to say they love God, guns, and America and hate anyone who is non-white or foreign, and they've got Republican votes. Pleasing the totality of the Democratic voter base is much more complex and harder to do all at once, sometimes even bordering on contradictory. For some, they want them to be more pro-Israel. Some, they want it to be less pro-Israel and more pro-Palestine. But those pro-Israels want it to be not pro-Palestine, and the pro-Palestine don't want it to be pro-Israel. So somehow the Democrats have to be both pro and anti-Israel and pro and anti-Palestine at the same time to get all of their votes. The saying says you can't please all of the people all of the time, but the Democratic voting base seems to want them to at least make the attempt. Some of their problem is that we are a culture of instant gratification who need results now, and a lot of Democrat and progressive ideas take time to develop and bear fruit, and many Democratic voters just don't want to wait. It's something Republicans capitalized on. Knowing how impatient people are, they said, oh yes, we're going to lower egg prices immediately. We're going to fix gas prices immediately. And so even though they had no intention of actually doing that, they were able to get their voting base to be energized towards immediate gratification on things that they needed changed immediately. People want quick fixes, and the Democratic Party is not the party of quick fixes. They're the party of long-term solutions, and long-term solutions take time, and people just don't want to take the time to wait and see them implemented. Though admittedly, this slow implementation approach has bit them a bit. Things like banning hidden fees, banning non-competes, and banning credit reporting of medical debt took so long, and a lot of corporations had dragged their heels in implementing it, that they never happened before the administration changed and Republicans took over and just never went after them. Things that could have been big wins for Democrats going into that 2024 election never materialized. So Democrats get hit one side that it takes too long to do anything, and then the things that they want to do never materialize, and then people say, well, but you never delivered on the stuff you promised. So even I can see where sometimes the Democrat slow pace is to their detriment. I think one of the big problems is the perception that Democrats are just too pro-corporation. So when it comes election time and voters have to decide between corporate-backed Party 1 and corporate-backed Party 2, they say there's no difference and they don't want to vote at all. And where there's a downturn in voter turnout, it's the Democrats who suffer. To them, the perception is that Democrats are no less corporate-controlled than Republicans are. It feels like there's almost no differentiation, so they're both equally bad. So shedding that perception would definitely go a long way towards rebuilding support for Democrats amongst their own base. But I also acknowledge that at a time where big corporate donations are the backbone of all political parties, that is easier said than done. But what I think is their biggest hurdle is just one of messaging. The Republicans have moved so far to the right that they've redefined the window so they can point and say, look, the Democrats, they're moving left. But they've largely stayed left of center. It's just that with everything having gone more to the right, the perception can be that they've moved left when they haven't moved much at all. And that's really the issue. The Democrats are fighting this massive right-wing propaganda machine that is demonizing everything that even looks left. You've got a party that is slowly, or not so slowly, descending into literal fascism. So, of course, the Democrats, by comparison, look like these leftists, when really they are anything but. I feel like post-Obama, and even in the Obama years, the Democratic Party has been, in a lot of ways, kind of just Republican light. When it came to things like the economy, it have largely only seemed socially progressive when compared to a party that hates anyone that isn't straight, Christian, and white. The Democratic Party, for a long time, has not wanted to rock the boat, as it were, and as a result have largely become ineffectual. While Republicans had no problem completely dismantling the Republican Party of old and rebuilding it into a completely new entity, laser focused on loving corporations and rich people and hating just about everyone, the modern Republican Party had no problem rocking the boat. They basically just flipped it over. So when it comes to messaging and perception, the political right has been winning consistently. When actual leftist progressive voices spring up in the Democratic Party, people like Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Bernie Sanders, even current mayoral candidate and future New York mayor Zohran Mamdani are branded as a leftist extremist socialist by people within the Democratic Party. If the Democrats had truly slid too far to the left, it would make more sense for them to embrace those voices, not summarily reject them. But really, the main messaging problem the Democratic Party have is that there's a perception that the Democratic Party doesn't really care about the common people and are out of touch with their needs, that they've become the party of the intellectual elites, which in part stems from very effective right-wing propaganda. But Democrats just have to get out the message that, yes, we care about you, regular people. We don't just care about rich people and corporations. We are the party of the people. And while that's lately been a Republican line, they could say it and actually mean it. And maybe in that lies the key to Democrat success. It's not about moving more into the center. It's not about becoming more Republican. It's about finally being the party of saying what they mean and doing it. Many disenfranchised voters say, well, what has this Democratic Party ever done for me lately? So the key is to not just tell them, but to show them. Democrats have to become the party of authenticity. Authenticity is what is attractive to people and brings them to you. And authenticity can't be faked. Well, I mean, it can, but eventually people see through it and it just makes things worse. So if they want to bring people back to the Democratic Party and to fix their losing streak, the key is to be authentic, not to be more centrist. Yes, I'm not a political action committee and I haven't done surveys of scores of voters, but that's my take. The Democratic Party isn't too leftist. It's not leftist enough, but it also isn't giving the message to its voters that it hears them, it cares about them, and it's willing to put in the work to get things done that those people want and need. But also trying to convince them that progressive ideas and policies aren't socialism, they're not extremism. There are places that we're lagging behind the rest of the developed world, and we have to catch up. And we can't move forward if we're focused on moving backwards towards the center. The Democrats' path to victory does not lead to the right. Now, how much of this the Democratic establishment actually implements and listens to is anyone's guess. but my hope is they wake up to it, and soon. Alright, that'll be it for this episode of A Slice of News. I've been your host, Mr. Slice, and until next time, when I cut you off another slice of news.